All right, guys. So we have the second in this series of book summaries from Joseph Murphy, written by No Race 1693 on the Joseph Murphy subreddit, which I will drop a link to down in the description. This book summary is from the Miracle of Mind Dynamics from 1964. So here it is. Welcome to week 2 for another Joseph Murphy book review. Like many of his books, this is mainly a collection of real-life stories written by Joseph Murphy from his clients' friends and acquaintances from real life. This book shows you that you can use your subconscious mind to achieve anything you want in life. There's no central theme, but reading it will motivate you and give you a huge surge of inspiration in the infinite possibilities of the mind. So, pointers from the book in my own summary. 1. Negative and destructive thinking over a long period of time brought on diseased conditions. Your body cannot be healed while you are full of resentment and hostility. 2, it's no use to say, God is healing me now, if you believe deep down that cancer can kill you. You must cast out fear of all manifested states. The power is not in those states, but in you. Ulcers, cancer, arthritis, etc. are externalized manifested states that are the result of conscious or unconscious thinking. 3. A member of the JM organization once told his story. My case was diagnosed as cancer of the skin. I said to myself, I'm not afraid of cancer. I know it has no power. I realize that it is a product of false thinking, and it will have no power to continue its existence. The appearance on my skin is the termination. I am now exalting God in the midst of me, and I know that my thoughts of wholeness, beauty, and perfection must manifest where the trouble is. I kept this attitude and the cancer rapidly disappeared. I had only 2 treatments in the hospital, though I was scheduled for much more prolonged therapy. This man had the right approach. Furthermore, he imagined his physician saying to him, you are completely healed. The image he held in his mind sank down into his subconscious mind, and whatever is impressed on the latter is expressed. 4, your surgeon may remove the block, such as the ulcer or the abnormal growth, which was caused by the negative thinking, but unless you change your thinking, there will be no permanent healing. 5, you must constantly watch over the patterns presented to your conscious mind. 6, the law of life is the law of belief. Whatever you mentally accept and feel to be true will come to pass. 7, man's world is changing. He now realizes that he is the artificer of his own fortune. 8, the law is no respecter of persons. The sun shines on the just and unjust. The law has no morals. If a murderer can swim, the water will sustain him as well as a holy man. 9, it is not what a man does externally that matters. It is the inner movement of his heart that counts. It is what he thinks, feels, and believes deep down in his heart that matters, not what he professes to believe. 10, you will always gravitate to that which you most secretly love. You will meet in life the exact reproduction of your own thoughts, because this world is only a mirror. That's exactly what Vadim Zeland talks about in Transurfing and in Tufti the Priestess. 11, all your difficulties are caused by mental patterns and beliefs lodged in your own subconscious mind. The great deception, in essence, is the belief in material causation. 12, Job said, what I greatly feared has come upon me. His greatest fear brought on these accidents. His subconscious mind took his great fear as a request and manifested it on the screen of space. You are the mirror of your life. There is no power outside of you. 13, the great deception is to enthrone the idea in your mind that things, conditions, and phenomena are determining causes of your misery, suffering, and misfortune. 14, each man is a ship traveling on the ocean of life. All of us are immersed in the great universal sea of consciousness. 15, God had no beginning and it had no ending. Man, being life as God in manifestation, cannot die. When the vehicle or body is no longer a fit instrument here, it is laid aside. Spirit then clothes itself in a new body. J.M. described an interesting story of him living outside of his body for 3 days after falling deathly ill. 16, before you can receive wealth, You must first impress your subconscious mind with the idea of wealth, and whatever is impressed is expressed on the screen of space. 17. What you are seeking is seeking you. 18. To have an effective prayer, you must let go and release all hostility and resentment within yourself. Forgive everyone in your life. 19. There are 4 steps to praying effectively. The first step is to complete allegiance, devotion, and loyalty to the only presence and power, God. This power is within you. Secondly, you must definitely, absolutely, and completely refuse to give power to any external thing but God. You give no power to the phenomenal world or to any person, place, or thing. Whatever the problem or difficulty may be, turn away from it and affirm feelingly and knowingly that the power of God is healing or resolving it. And the last point is give thanks to the happy solution. Know that God is in action now and that your prayers are answered. Okay, so number 20. If you want to ascend spiritually, you must cease once and for all to give power to any external conditions, circumstances, people, or any externally created thing. There's no power in them. I think we just said that. So 21, suggestions of fear and impotence will have no effect upon a man full of faith in God and all things good. 22, reject the belief in incurability, drop your hostility, and realize God's love can heal you. 23, it's not which you are afraid of, merely a thought in your mind. You should check into all beliefs and find out their source and origin. Believe nothing that you don't understand. 24, the stumbling block to our health, happiness, and achievement is always in our mind. Let us make man in our image and likeness, Genesis 1:26. 25, God imagines himself to be the sun, moon, stars, world, or man. Then he feels himself to be what he imagined himself to be. The idea and feeling unite, male and female, and the cosmos comes forth. This is another way of saying there's a lot of, so how do I phrase this? This is reiterating kind of ancient wisdom that I've heard from other sources. I believe, we talk about the fractal, the universe is fractal and holographic. And in the Kabbalion, it talks about this, that many of these ancient spiritual texts talk about how God, or source, the original source, the divine essence, came down and separated itself into all of everything to experience everything. So take what you want from this, but, we don't know. There's a lot of things we don't understand, and it seems likely. It has been proven that we are all connected, that we are made up of the same types of atoms and stuff as the stars. And for this infinite source energy to come down so that it can experience life fractured off in all these different forms, hey, it seems plausible to me. So anyways, 26, whatever you affix to I am, you become. I am is the name of God, which means pure being, awareness, or life. 27, hatred is a deadly poison that debilitates the entire organism, resulting in mental and physical deterioration. I'll make a note of this later on after we're done here. So 28, this is a mental and spiritual universe, and what man wants to be claimed must be claimed, appropriated, and accepted mentally. 29, creed, dogma, tradition, superstition, fear, and ignorance rule the mind of the average man. The average man does not own his mind at all. It does not belong to him. Wow, this is really talked about in Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil, which is such a phenomenal book. Here pretty soon I'm going to drop a video on my top 5 life-changing books that you guys can read and pick up. And there's a lot of them. I'm excited. One of the reasons I'm excited about dropping that video is because a lot of these books are pretty obscure, and I guarantee that you haven't heard of the majority of them that I'm about to share. And that's really cool to me because I keep seeing these same regurgitated, rehashed videos on YouTube, especially of, the most life-changing books and the top 5 self-development books and all of these videos, right? But I really, really have some cool books for you guys. And I really do think that if you check these books out and really dive into them, I truly believe that they are life-changing. They've changed my life. So anyways, side tangent, side point. So here we go. So number 30, are you believing in antiquated, dead, grotesque, ignorant superstitions and prejudices in the name of religious beliefs? Or have you made a serious inquiry into the workings of your subconscious mind and conscious mind? Yeah, that's something that people need to question. So 31, you cannot count the infinite riches of God, which are all around you, the sands or the seashore or the stars in the heavens above. Did you ever try to count the flowers by the wayside as you drive along the road? Everywhere you go, you see a profusion of God's wealth. You were meant to be wealthy. There is no limit in God's universe. I like that. 32, misfortunes, accidents, and tragedies of various kinds are signs of mental and emotional disorders that have been broken out into manifestation in your life. 33, you may ask, what steps should I take after I fully believe that my prayer is answered? The answer is that he will be compelled to take whatever steps are necessary for the fulfillment of his desire. What you assume something to be true in your mind, the subjective wisdom directs your actions automatically. So again, people are thanking the poster for this post. The one thing that I wanted to tack onto this is that I have personally seen, back when I first came out to Los Angeles, he was a friend of mine at the time, but I ended up getting a job with him, working in nightlife, working at social media at this club in Hollywood. And this guy, over the course of our friendship, relationship, working together, I had known him before. He was more of an acquaintance, but then obviously our relationship became closer once we were in this working capacity, and then we went to a music festival together, and all this stuff kind of played out in a way where he really, I don't want to go into too many details or make it sound like I'm bragging or anything like that, but it was very apparent to me that at a certain point in time, we were at this festival, he became very jealous of me and the dynamics that were going on, and he lashed out. And you could see in people talk about, and I think this is a very, very true, this is discussed in Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz, that the body is the subconscious mind. And you can notice that you see quirks in people and the way that they move, in little micro gestures and micro expressions. The body does reveal the quirks and maybe deficiencies of the subconscious mind, or the beliefs, the underlying what is going on there. And so it was visible in what I'm discussing, like the body language, the little mannerisms and fidgety and tension in the body. And it was almost like this brewing anger that he had below the surface that he lashed out. He ended up lashing out at me physically, but also emotionally, also mentally, also verbally. And it was very strange to witness and to see this. And I came to find out later that he actually suffered from having ulcers. And this was a really young guy. I mean, he was 24, 25 at the time. I mean, this is something that shouldn't be. It's very unnatural for a guy, for somebody like him to have ulcers at his age. And I just think that this is interesting because I have seen examples of this in my life where people are filled with this kind of brewing neuroticism or neurotic tendencies, and perhaps anger, perhaps resentment. They mention hatred here, and this is something that Florence Scovel Shinn talks about in her books, which is that in order to heal and have this energy that is magnetic towards abundance and towards prosperity and the things that you do want, you have to forgive yourself, you have to forgive others, you have to get rid of that hatred from your heart, and that's what the Bible talks about too. And whether you resonate with the Bible or not, I've talked about this with other people before. It's like, there's goods and bad and everything. I genuinely believe there have been tons of unfortunate things that have been the result of this dogmatic approach. And Joseph Murphy mentions it here. He says, let's see down here. He says, are you believing in antiquated, dead, grotesque, ignorant superstitions and prejudices in the name of religious beliefs? Or have you made serious inquiry into the workings of the mind, of the subconscious? So that is true. That is very true. There are also positive teachings, I believe, from some of these, from the Bible, or religious teachings, religious texts. And I guess the point that I'm making here is that it is what you want to take from it. And basically, you can allow this, whether you want to think of it as God, whether you want to think of it as the universe, whatever works for you. But really, this whole act of forgiveness, that's what I was getting to that point, is that in the Bible, there is this thing that says you need to forgive because you're only hurting yourself by not forgiving. Holding on to hatred is creating, I really do believe, and Joe Dispenza talks about this too, you need to be in this state. He enters people into this meditative state, and there are so many anecdotal experiences and evidence of people having these healings after leaving his retreats. And then now he's got scientists and professors coming from the University of San Diego, that are coming in and doing research on the people. They're doing all of these biomarkers before they enter his retreat and after, and they're seeing these tangible, real results and changes in people. And it's pretty miraculous. So it is being more and more, and that's what we're in an exciting time, guys, because there is more and more the cutting edge of science. This is why I bring in a little bit of the science in here. I love it because you got people like Joe Dispenza, people like Andrew Huberman. You got all these biohackers, all these people taking nootropics, all of these people that are trying to live to the human potential and understand. There's this guy, there's Ben Greenfield. There's this guy that I saw on Tom Bilyeu's podcast. I forget what his name is, but he is essentially slowed down the aging process to such an extent with something that he calls the blueprint. And it's through his different various practices, obviously his diet as well. But I think, you'd be hard pressed now to not find these people on the cutting edge of science that are not discussing the benefits of your mindset. And it's very apparent, and I'm going to bring more of Andrew Huberman's research onto the channel here, because it is very much in alignment with the things that we talk about when we talk about our mindset, when we talk about our belief systems, when we talk about our self-concept, our self-image, the practices that we have throughout the day, the habits that we're doing, our routines. They're all tied together. And Dylan James talks about this too. He recently posted a quote from Andrew Huberman. He reposted his tweet. And Dylan James is like, yeah, I've been saying this for years. And now it's like, it's very apparent, all these things, they're going hand in hand. And really focusing on the idea of manifesting without focusing on self-improvement is just very counterproductive, in my opinion, because the self-concept, the self-image is so foundational towards anything that we're creating in our lives that ignoring that component, ignoring how we feel on a day-to-day basis, the types of food that we're eating, the way that we're, are we being physically active enough? We're going to feel like shit if we don't. So how are you going to be able to manifest from that perspective? How are you going to be able to be a potent creator when you're not fueling yourself at a very foundational level with the right stuff? It's just not going to happen. And many people get bored by these topics of, like healthy diet and healthy lifestyle and being active and these types of things. But, unless we get those foundational things handled, it's almost like you're creating an uphill battle for yourself if you're not. So with that being said, a lot of people actually, they talk about how it is hard for them to relax. Well, your nervous system is deregulated by the blue light that you're taking in constantly, the little stressors that you're taking in constantly. If you don't have a way to actually sit down and get your body to relax itself, all of the hormone disruptors that are in our foods right now, all of the just chemicals in our environment. And yeah, there's no way that we're going to completely get rid of all that stuff. But if we can limit it, if we can fuel our bodies with the things that are actually promoting our health and, cut out so many processed foods, cut out all this bullshit that is really just, it's creating us to be in this state of frenzy. It's creating our body is then, it's making our body, it's like you think of a flowing river versus like a swamp. It's like it's allowing this bacteria to fester. And that could be bacteria. It could be physically, of the physical kind. It could be the ulcers. It could also be this negative toxic thinking, these thinking patterns. it's been well documented now that the way that we think and the way that we react and get triggered by things is like food also plays a role into that. So I know this is a little bit of a tangent, but I do think it's important, and I do want to mention that because I am very interested in bringing more information like that onto the channel here. Anyways, guys, what do you guys think about this? It's another book summary of Joseph Murphy's book here. Are you guys digging what Joseph has to say in these summaries? If you let me know if you guys want to hear more book summaries from Joseph Murphy. I think he has a lot of important insights and good insights and stuff that he gets into. And with that being said, he clearly was a very powerful manifestor himself. I also dropped that video not too long ago about how he manifested his home in the Hollywood Hills. And really, that book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind, it's a powerful book. And I remember when I read it, it was impactful for me personally. But yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think. Like I said, drop me a comment, drop me a like, hit me with a subscribe, and Mochi, Lucifer, and I will see you in the next video.